a low species value in each system. There is an identity theft of the ground, of areas, of states and nations, interbranch. And that sustained is recorded way worse than election crime. All natures of them bonded and how they were motivated to this, not letting free speech, stealing identities. This is also recorded, be part of the gun crimes because of the police shootings and the other people shooting are being caused by the same thing, with the phenomenon of the same states and areas. Now watch what happens if one talks about a crime act, verbal ones, federal crime act, like you know, and then someone says, "Oh, that's allegation," and they're knowing they're lying, even if it's interbranch, because it's tied to crime acts and cases. Then that's not legal. See, but we have the right to get away with crimes, interbranch, maintain criminally foreign influence, having to have to exploit that to hide personal, grouped, and misprision collusion, states and areas criminally foreign influenced originally and still. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police force, I'm not a criminal. These ways yet even kill. They have physical delusions, intersciences too. So they think about population, for example, physical delusions of what it means to space. We have criminally foreign influence zoning laws, a pathology that George Washington had to come. Even with the French general's help, he could only semi-counter extort what they had to leave with overt slavery in the North. In Weathersfield/Hartford, Connecticut, other neighboring suburbs around Hartford, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. And so leaving the North, see, this was for a fact treatment nature racket. A whole bunch of nations, intercultural, they put color in there. Everyone was a slave, even our founders who wanted the forced database relationships demonstrated, but we have it glorified. They wanted themselves demonstrated as criminal insidiousness natures who didn't even have the free speech to demonstrate. That's how they brought forward the Declaration of Independence while they were still in slavery entrenched. In other words, criminal insidiousness natures, not free, not what the surface of the Constitution was about. That's what we were supposed to defend. That led us into World War I, which was the same enemy there and here as France had then and now. It's a crime method keeping each nation suit and tie encounters, database relationships that are lie progressions, standing lie progression, cover up natures and styles, already having value in relationship to criminally foreign influence precedents, already having value. Fake logic, psychology, especially physical delusions, with the criminal foreign influences to branches, semi, and then into areas in semi by the same thing, and that's maintained completed, and then needing to hide that together, not by accident, finding collusion with misprision uncharged originally, and still a whole bunch of nations with psychology police, interbranch, and their family members, with sexual crime roles of other natures of crimes, with like bisexual and gay interbranch, with the identity thefts, for example, with the overt criminal enterprises, and with military original, still criminally foreign influenced, crime roles with psychology, drug crimes with the only realized counters. That's why they're forcing child sex crime acts, men and women, with verbal federal crime acts with databases, attaching people to fake conversations, fake relationships to others, fake things in databases everywhere we go. Then when you're in a suburb, tactically denatured, sickly, distinctly, specifically, just like every city, specifically to keep from everyone blaming what's holding all sickly, non-distinctly, tactically denatured, forsaken original positions. And still, identities of relation. When you have, see, we have odds in relationship to people stacking in New York City, because that was forced by hundreds of nations, forced shared. What kind of excuses are they going to make? They're going to pretend to be against prejudice. They're going to do it in phases, investing everyone to roles self-cultivated, states and areas private, uncharged originally, and still all fact cheap in nature, identity theft roles. So they're recording with pretending and have everyone is not realizing they're saying about theories about how they should teach kids. In other words, leaving it up to experts, but those experts are recorded with crime roles on and off campuses too, originally still. Crime method that knows that the little boys and girls, even before the other ages, are really like getting to wanting to be with the other sex. They're knowing that's going to happen in relationship to campuses that are connected age-wise to a crime method. Further, with the principal sex offenders campus through time, not just with sex crimes. This is with this is with passion crimes, with fake aggression and fake care at the same time. Evil. It's investing each age of fact cheaping nature to valuing fake sides of the identity of correlation nature, which is a trinity. Fake sides, fake middle. Interscience is forced juxtaposed physical delusions. Identity theft, crime acts roles with database illusion stacking. Attaching people to fake relationships to others. Crimes with offensive evidence reception natures. And that before cases, because that's only let happen because the interbranch again is hiding interbranch recorded, forging names, switching names, crime methods, acts, natures, switching sequences, switching names. In other words, bringing people into courts, not letting them ever speak and saying other because they're attaching us to fake relationships to others, fake words. They're directing and influencing confessions to pretend that time was of substance. That wasn't. They're stealing people's identity. They're through time. A lot of people with DACA involved interfamily. They lied to family members about their relationships to others, specifically per a method that knows what kind of issues are going to come before courts in the future because they're involved with so many crimes against each age. But no one's watching this. That's why they want and need to get caught for the overt sex crime acts interbranch online and in cases leading up to it and the roles with confessions. These are crimes with courts before they were criminal with their cases formally and their evidence is crimes, rules, crimes formally, identity theft crimes formally. These are also courts and their family members crimes with media databases and with private police, foreign and domestic, also juxtaposed overt criminal enterprises, crime acts, illusions with them too, and with military families, foreign and domestic, tied to the sexual circles that only let realized unhealthy group thinks and everyone, identity theft roles, speaking through others, also recorded, demonstrated, and confessed. Tied to confessions, recorded and demonstrated where police forms interbranch with the offensive evidence crime roles, criminal foreign influences, crime method roles missed since founding. They're making other people make the confessions for them, and then they're non-verbally demonstrating it true because these are officers in interbranch. They need to pretend they had conversations with people that weren't at once, that were never, not one time, but they had conversations because they were recorded pretending such into databases and speaking with others, with misbreeding groups. These are people associated with Lowe's policing and Home Depot. This is associated with ad companies that don't even realize, but then they have influences also with the online media. Their treatments of, in other words, if someone calls, if someone, then they make people misspeak because they're not letting people talk calm. They're not letting people when they need to speak because they're already invested, having attached me and others to fake words, fake per their confessions too. Also, for people tied with child sex offenders and medical offenders with kids, with that, with prisons and with regular medical and intercampuses criminally further, foreign and domestic, police and families, and overt criminal enterprises needing to hide the same lies and delusions interbranch, and with their state offices, state judicial branch offices, houses next to it, state prison office house next to it. So there are also sensibility crimes and crime roles. For example, tied to the Harriet Beecher Stowe house and the Mark Twain house right next to it, and to the fact treatment nature. Originally, still see this is also to our treatments of criminal insidiousness nature. So for this movie, how do no two for how do you train someone to be to understand the fact cheap nature slavery of our founders? In other words, of everyone. You have to understand the crime method, their motivations, and with how they were using it, which they were having everyone else invested consciously to other motivations, needs, roles, and natures, valuing their criminal enterprise method, their organized crime method, internation, not just interstates, intercolonies. So someone said, typed to me in our comments and said, "Oh, what do you think about gay people, gay issues?" And I said, because I was thinking, I don't want to get in trouble because there are judges with identity thefts and with gay groups involved with the overt criminal enterprises and with their crime acts and cases. These are people with trade center predicate acts, mail crimes, wire crime methods, preventing people free speech, stealing our identities, pretending we don't cooperate with the police as means to force sexual interbranch online recorded rape threats. So these are gay courts, and then crimes in their cases. These are like a type of bisexual where they have sexual circles and they're victim predators. They were raised reportedly circle jerking or whatever, too, whatever. With the principal six offenders campus, and an old principal with his daughter at the campus now, with the interbranch, intercampuses criminally involved, recorded. But they're hiding their crime acts and sequence shifts and forging and switching names of even to at least two female judges, even black and white ones, that are crime acts with Confederate flag themed and Puerto Rican flag themed child offenders, identity theft clicks, extortion rolls. Also, my own family recorded and confessed involved with various natures of fake news crime acts, a Faenza family, and with interbranch sources of the media with fake news crime acts of various natures, identity thefts, attaching me to fake conversations with them to the public as various natures of fake crime, news crime acts, attaching me to fake relationships to doctors when I was a kid that never were. They're stacking databases. There's a Gold family recorded and confessed with a former mayor Gold and his family recorded confessed involved with crimes with forensics clerks, identity theft crime acts, with in media crime acts with sex offenders associated with the with fire departments, Washington tied, Trade Center tied crime groups of various natures as police fronts, but pretend it's legal with the courts that are already criminally involved with them. Crime acts and cases, crimes, sexual abuses of little kids. Further, with the principal sex offenders campus, and with confessions and crime and wire crime acts, sequence shifts they did to force that guy who got caught anyways. But there are other offenders with that campus tied to the crime acts, sex crime acts, and threats regarding it and federal crimes with the Facebook pages and the policing interbranch of New Britain Superior Court of Wethersfield Police. Also, interbranch family members typing allusions onto and crime roles with the Wethersfield Police Facebook users for sex crime acts and roles even with female doctors and female police forms, female judges, using time as a weapon to pretend integrity they have when they already hurting kids because they need to hide themselves from free speech because correlation nature is a trinity, in other words, and their fake sides since they were kids with federal crime acts roles with proven and further recorded federal criminals that were pretending their crime acts were associated with my father, and they were exploiting election laws to do that. They're doing that too, pretending they can do that against regular citizens that aren't even running for election. They're pretending that voting for a party means what it doesn't. Tied to recorded breaching method, criminal foreign influence treatments of sanctions and of war as counters to what is areas and states really stay in collusion with, tied to the police shootings by police and by the criminals, recorded because of the same crime method not let told on, identity thefts, free speech. They have states and areas in collusion with religious, which is supposed to be separated so individuals could have overall right to reality defense, religious defense. We don't have religion, we don't have free speech. They torture all kinds of ways. Fact cheap nature while stealing our identity, that's torture, time. Tell you, oh, they're pretending people should get jobs and jobs mean value to record it. Criminally to pretend they don't understand they have offensive evidence reception extortion crime roles, influences of people, criminal uses of and causes of domestic disturbances with phones so they can go and write lies about what is preventing people from using speech alone to demonstrate the worst natures of crime acts using correlation simultaneously inherent active and progressive means. They were recorded methodical, even the methods recorded on from off campuses, maintaining on off campuses Russians against Russians, Americans against Americans, and with other nations, overt criminal enterprises and families, and lies with that where they're pretending undercover police have integrity where they don't. Associated with Los Solitos, criminally involved with Harvard, Fox CT in that corner, and then with Russians, with Harvard Hospital's campus, with the Leahy family, with Dr. Dingleberries, associated with crimes with some sex offenders associated with a Smith family, already on the sex offender registry, especially if made up, recorded and confessed, tied to further medical, like a Rob Rodrigue, identity theft acts, crime rolls with some Mexican restaurant in Rocky Hill. And then there's a Dakota recorded and confessed involved criminally with police from my town through time with federal crimes. Also with the confessed and recorded tied to people associated with a Mendez. He has that name Mendez that he uses used at CCSU, associated with the media, associated with crime acts recorded and crime methods recorded. And that Mendez is also associated with crime acts of two Mendez brothers with the sexual with crimes with a principal sex offender with his campus and with intercity police switching and forging names using the name McGee. Then they say they have one as means to demonstrate threats as courts also recorded with sequence shifts and as these same intercampuses predators recorded tied to a interstate from Connecticut tied to crimes, one proven and further recorded affected from inside the Trade Center attack that showed the panel of judges in the Ninth Circuit right next to the Trade Center attack context, untimely papers that they ruled was filed late, but it was later proven that they'd been time stamped on time. And see, that was also tied to a Scalora family, recorded and confessed with crimes with a Leahy family and with others intercampuses that attached me to fake conversations about CIA, and with a Joshua Julian, recorded and confessed also with a Carla Greca and other men and women police that I don't know. I don't know at all Carla Greca or Joshua Julian, but from online, him recorded also crimes with Wethersfield police with unions and with drug clicks with them also and federal criminals through time now where there's men and women that they were criminally involved with federal criminals when they were kids as ones involved with the crimes with sex offenders now. Other natures of crime all juxtaposed. That's why they need the sex offender. They need responses to it because they're exploiting where and how they have types of experts at types of crimes. But this is a crime method originally still bonding a whole bunch of natures and roles to a whole bunch of natures of crimes against everyone every day in court. This is what motivates everyone to originally still to blame what really is causing streams going into courts each day, including innocents being blamed on other things and on others and on selves. Each modern nation has the same identity of negative value nature progression trap. See, no, that's why they're using overt crimes like sexual harassment as gay groups, sequence shifts, because then what they have to do, I'm trying to counter his, then they pretend that's why people shouldn't speak like that. When you try to talk calm, they can't follow the rules because they already have, it shows simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive Trinity correlation nature's identities means to demonstrate past, inherent, active, and progressive evidences, rackets, crime methods, and natures originally still interbranch through time, intercampuses, on and off campuses, keeping exploiting how little boys are going to be fakes. If it's facilitated to it, for all that associated with them also, crimes with federal criminals associated with their co-defendant in a tied case, /S, associated with a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Now that's also recorded and confessed, involved with CNN and with Fox News, starting fights with us. They won't. I'm begging them. I'm begging you right now, CNN, at Fox News, fix your roles with the fake news crime acts of Fox CT, WFSB, and WTNH, because those are also crime method roles, crimes with the New Haven FBI, crimes with on-off campuses training of police forms. You see what I'm saying? Let's go. What are they doing with there's a guy with red hair too. that they I don't know the name. I never had a conversation with them associated with Covington Street, the on off campuses, private policing, and like food services and things like that. All that influenced with police forms interbranch from the top for director Robert Luskin. These are sequence shifts that CNN and sequence shift cover-ups. They're investing them to value treatments, pretending other criminally, quoting precedents, consciously hiding criminal foreign influences of those precedents, crime methods originally still having influenced them because they're preventing mandated law. That's recorded. How many times have I asked for them to fix the natures of various natures of fake news crime acts about me? They still have online fake YouTube pages pretending to be me. You go downtown, you can't even meet someone because they have slanders against me everywhere I go. They put me to fake locations with women, fake conversations with women I never even met. Same ones with interbranch, like with the Aiello family, recorded and confessed, involved with ad companies associated with the networks involved criminally too. Also, these are misprision trick natures pretending to believe things as means like, well, no, when they're not responding to crime acts and they're lying about their communications to do that. When someone needs to report sex crime acts, sequence shifts, fake news crime acts, stealing our identities to fake conversations with them, fake relationships to doctors as from a kid they never were. This is because the same people also federal crimes with the databases at CCSU and at Trinity College from off campuses, keeping various agencies and their family members. Paul Zano has a cousins, I don't know the names of, associated with various natures of jobs, policing, plainclothes, and other, like they're intercity. Next to WFSB, the recorded and confessed involved crimes, interbranch police, fake news crime acts, roles with child sex offenders, proven and further recorded, and further confessed and recorded hid by wire crime methods, where they lie about if you try to report things with substance that demonstrate. This is why also the recorded and confessed also with crimes with how we have Russians here and they're fakes with psychology and with whatever they're doing with the various nations. They have some guy named Joey or something like that involved also with the many police forms and families involved criminally with identity theft, pretending now as adults that I never had a class with them, never was in the location of those people, I never had a conversation with them, and like the Fienzas, they won't they admit it online, but then they're implying other because they're offensive people pretending they have credibility vetting information that consciously don't, because we have military families intercity through time, criminally foreign influence, sexual, were involved with crimes with the policing of prisons, the training of it on and off campuses with CCSU, long criminally foreign influence, criminally involved with the extended family members of a Zano family, also with this with people from my town that I never had anything to do with that pretend other, and I barely know him, only in context that are recorded tied to interbranch needed to hide because they have sequence shifts. They had where they use those people as misprision, so they wouldn't be able to be honest either because this is involved with their crimes interstate too, with interbranch again roles with various natures of abuses of girls. Rick Sanfayone also confessed and recorded that men and women with the Leahy family was involved also with criminal uses. I mean, how they hooked. Um, Brian Silver up with a whole bunch of women for him. I don't know why he made those confessions to me. I never had anything to do with him the entire time he was in high school. Rick Champfillon. It had some kind of do that they tried, and John Maiano, one tied with them to the fake news crime acts, sex crime acts of the New Britain Superior Court, uses of child sex offenders, of overt criminal enterprises in their narratives with their own kids through the other kids. And they see these are crime methods that are also exploiting how this is going to influence what classes placements our people are going to be in. What time? What's the timing of their walk to the cafeteria? Who they're going to meet before they get facilitated to groupthinks, speaking through other people as sensibility natures, natural, but in a criminally foreign influenced identity of ground, active body of value, and progressive value, identity theft racket, criminally foreign influenced states and areas. So we're going to examine how shootings by police and by overt victim predators could have been, only realized on areas with a lot of shootings, like on Garden Street. This is also recorded, confessed, tied to Justice Department corruption associated with Maria Fazina and her husband, Stephen Stocco, criminally involved with others, with a Faenza family. That's right, all businesses, houses next to the state judicial branch offices, people associated with that, crime acts with the cases. These are also sequence shifts tied to the same interstate cliques that were involved criminally the night before and leading up before that with the Trade Center attack context. Also, a Scalora family recorded and confessed involved with federal crimes with the child sex offenders and identity theft cliques associated further on off campuses, also with others facilitated to crimes with High Crest School, the principal sex offenders campus with the corners of it. Now these are people Kevin Knislis, his sister. I don't know them. I knew Kevin Knislis was in my sixth grade class. I had one interaction with him outside of school as a kid. It was brief. I mentioned online. That's at the corner. And also, there's a John Lord recorded and confessed involved with the medical. And see, these are also military and again FBI of other family FBI's used too, of CIA involved with the federal criminals, with the people that were placed in classrooms when I was a kid. Now, as adults, we need to hide life progressions tied to that, tied to what they were doing with acting. A Delaferro family also recorded and confessed involved with crimes facilitated to and course and hid by WTNH being used criminally, with Weathersfield High School houses next to it involved with drugs crimes with judges, extended family members, with identity thefts, all kinds of rackets with houses next to the state judicial branch offices and the prison offices too, criminally involved with database crimes, identity theft, sequence shifts, as people used criminally as adults for fake news crime acts that forced the principal sex offender and recorded sex crime acts not let told on, per wire crime methods, preventing the uses of the Weathersfield Police Department for legitimate things. They're incapable of it now. The New Britain Police Department, incapable of it now. Private police on off campuses, incapable of it now. From off campuses maintained. Per what is threats there and here, fake sites maintained, needing to ignore that because they're lifted to jobs that are worthless in relationship to what bonds crimes. And then that's valued because they're valuing jobs that are incapable of defending themselves as trained influence to and all that. And also at the same time, CNN admits and recorded that and demonstrated that they use a statute. They use statute tricks like pretending they believe one thing, while they're stealing identities, forcing sexual crime acts and natures against and rumors, also with overt criminal enterprises through kids, as the Joshua Julian recorded with the principal sex offenders campus when they were forcing him, also with interbranch police with sex crime acts at the time, and still a fake YouTube page, a whole bunch of fake ones pretending to be me, the real Anthony Wall. One says Ranim Al Mansour's new lover. That's a woman also tied to WTNH recorded and confessed crimes with a Kinsella crime rolls with a Kinsella school, also with the Della Fera family connected military and foreign and overt criminal enterprises, sexual circles that were used to make confessions to me like that from girls. Now, so they could use men, keep them only fakes. In other words, there's a Rob Schedule and his sister recorded and confessed also crimes with FBI clicks and military and with further child sex offender roles, like in identity theft crime acts and roles associated with a Phil Collo and with a Scalora recorded and confessed involved with the crimes with the House/S criminally involved with the new and police chief years ago. I mean, the police chief now and the one from years ago with their with the police chief's daughter and extended family also criminally involved with the principal sex offenders campus then and now further, and with the courts, with their family members, with their kids usually, like it is. Also military family members. Ajosta Klavinsky is also confessed and recorded and demonstrated criminally involved with interbranch police, various natures of criminal uses of his kids, of his wife, and her confessed and recorded criminally involved with that. And these are people involved with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso criminally, and with people associated with the witness protection program associated with the area criminally, and with people associated with the FBI again, various ways through time criminally used, and CIA. And they pretended, a Leahy family offensively pretend they had conversation with me, pretended through time. I never had anything to do with them, a Leahy family. Never had one in my class. They walked. They had Rick Champfillon make confessions about the Leahy guy. When I was a kid, I didn't know what he was talking about. That was after he graduated. I never knew Rick. I mean, I knew who he was, but I never had him in a class. Never saw him around school. The whole time when he was in high school, his brother was older than me. His sister was older than me. I never had anything to do with them either. See, they had sequence shifts, also federal crimes with a Fred Grisey, who lived in front of my campus. I never had anything to do with him. I recorded and tried to report the rest because he's involved criminally with the police chief's family through time and with the Della Fera family and with fake news crime acts and with drug crimes with kids and with Fox CT, with Los Solitos crimes, with drugs crimes of various natures, formal and other, associated with on-off Hartford Hospital, criminal uses of zoning laws, tactically denatured relationship to nature, pretended care for against racism, against they're forcing people. Then they make you scared because if you go in court, they're going to make the wrong outcomes because they're forcing even child sex offenders crime acts recorded, not told on, per their roles with Miss Prisian, per interbranch forging names, switching names through time already. Then what they have to do? They have to hide that somehow so their areas crimes with life aggressions, offensive evidence, pretending to perceive things, influencing people like associated with the military, foreign and domestic down the street, with the classes criminally involved, and with the CCSU crime acts. The Mendez guy is distinct from the two Mendez brothers, also recorded and confessed involved with. That's why he has the Dakota place on his Twitter account. It's like because that play, the Dakota is also recorded and confessed involved with all kinds of crimes and criminal uses of CCSU through time, identity thefts. People, the only time that like a Paulzano also recorded and confessed. My Honor brothers also recorded and confessed to Corone brothers, recorded and confessed with the FBI clicks and with because everyone's speaking through other. I don't know these people. But up the street, sexual circles and stuff like that with the DMT, the Department of Transportation, DMV, Perone family, and Ian on Twitter, the one up there or not, because that was also tied to his roles with crimes with the medical families, foreign and domestic, in the military, criminally involved with Middletown and with the Harbor Park and with private police. And with that Phil Cololo also recorded and confessed by a Bob Chase who made rules crimes. They're with all these crimes, making fake police reports, making a whole bunch of different ones, and then preventing everyone free speech while they're stealing identities, forcing fake recorded things through time every year, everywhere everyone goes, per what they start with the crimes through the kids that Debbie Gold recorded and confessed involved criminally with interstate, and with the clicks criminally involved with the identity thefts, other natures of federal crime acts, with the various natures of the courts and doctors and overt criminal enterprises of the prisoners involved in collusion with crime acts with areas in intercampus before that, illusion stacking, database crime rolls. So then they force you not be able to counter. You know, they have these sexual groups, crimes with the overt criminal enterprises, and they have that with the crimes of male and female judges with identity thefts, attaching me and others to fake sequences, fake ties to others, even attaching little kids to force sustained narratives of degenerates through them, spreading rumors about criminal enterprises, pretending they think that's like this Joshua Julian, also recorded and confessed with federal criminals and with former director of the FBI associated with people, criminal interbranch and military and foreign, associated with uses of a deposition, intaken, offered to be put, criminally offered, consciously or not, offered to be hosted in a Hartford court, leading up to the 2006 case with former director of the FBI, with his federal criminal co-defendants, and with his lawyer, associated with Farmington Avenue, near the Harriet Beecher Stowe Mark Twain house, and crimes with a Mayano family also with a guy, they say his name, Officer Hunter, with sequence shifts and with switching my words with his, and pretending to know me, and criminally identity theft, crime acts also with the Hartford hospital. I mean, with a Hartford court, with a deposition, with the people criminally involved leading up to that, with what I tried to report, because I knew that they have a crime method where they sustain confessions they use confession for all different kind of ways criminally, but they also do it because if there's certain things, if you don't tell on them, you get arrested. It's against the law to not tell on them. That's why they make confessions out of sequence too, with strangers that need to be pretend other, per what they're recorded consciously needing to get caught for child offending crimes sometimes, because they have misprision criminality with the reactions to types of experts. And this is exploiting where originally and still we had 99.9% of the crimes for what was bonding everyone to roles forced. We'd put color in there then, so we'd be a quality of fact cheap nature now, blaming on other causes, others non-selves. So can they make you misspeak? I care about everyone. So, but they use gay people in disgusting ways, and they know they want to start fights because they need to. They can also start fights with people. They use like people who are like you know, or small framed and stuff like that against adults who could protect the kids. But see, we're having our identity stuff. We're being labeled as bad people. We're being slandered behind our backs because they're keeping all the places, each age of girls, women, lied to with sensibilities tied to rackets, using how they have overt criminal enterprises, have private ones uncharged originally, and still have interbranch ones, keeping sensibilities where also with confessions where everyone's valuing quality of fact, cheaping nature, that's fake sides of physical delusions and of criminally foreign influence and identity of positive truth. In fact, it's an affront to this nation that and how CNN has been theater narrating, pretending to be about truth and to be about facts when CNN knows it's misprision database, criminal foreign influence, interbranch sources, telling them to say, "Oh, it's just the perfect world." Just stay on the jobs and the money narrative. Forget reality. You know, that's what they're saying. They're attaching lies to truths consciously and calling that facts and truth. They're preventing science as theater. Criminal serious nature. They're pretending is legal because they're quoting statutes, but they're using that against mandate, against means to demonstrate criminally foreign influence branches, criminally foreign influence or military originally and still way worse than groupthink, way worse than mission creep, which led us from World War One to World War Two, etc. We didn't even have allowed demonstrated what really is recorded while we went into World War One. I'm afraid, you know, if you try to look up if our founders owned slaves, they didn't have control of the databases, so there's no way to tell. And it is proofs that even if it was true, what was written about them, they're against it. They were forced to it. You understand what I'm saying to you? We need a quality of fact, cheap nature to counter organized crime, originally and still. We need these are means to afford what's fake, free, private, fake competition. It's valuing jobs and money needs more than there's an organic cake mix and the frosting sold separately, like they do with the others, like Betty Crocker. You know, they couldn't compete with this organic one. So then they take away the frosting. That's plausibly, I mean, demonstrably why, most plausibly, and it's also through stores like Stop and Shop, maintained victim predator tools, criminally influenced from off their location, maintaining it on off campus, on off that, because that's also with the Smith brothers and mother associated with another sex offender associated with crimes with a black and white doctors, with crimes with the after and then furthering the Leahy family federal crimes, fake conversations with me, sequence shifts, identity theft, crime acts, crimes with a Dillon family's ties to this, crimes with a Maiano family's drug clicks, Paul Zano type crimes, with the campuses I went to, Trinity and CCSU, crime acts in the past, with the people now, with Alicia's interstate criminally involved with that name, like 5 or 6 of them. One of them, and with police forms, they had a dispute in court where they were told not to speak, but then they did it anyways. That which was influenced by people who don't even understand their own roles with that, because before I even was in that location, it was already confessed and recorded to me and demonstrated to me what those area was involved with people from the past involved with identity thefts, crime acts, attaching me to fake locations, fake ties to others, as the Britain Superior Court did through time. You know how scary that is to face judges, especially after they demonstrate to you that their fake is all heck, and they use that as a weapon. These are sicker than most killers. We're coming to why, recorded using science, why there are so many shootings. These are for other natures of crimes first. These are for life progressions needs. You know, not all the time, but all the time, what's keeping the all the time nature of everybody, keeping all the time things like that, because in other words, leading up to it, why they have that gun in their hand and not realizing they're going to end up in jail, or not realizing, you know, means when they say, oh, there are no means, stay on that. Where there are no means, that's tactically that's tactically breaching method facilitated left for to be left forsaken and valued that. What is wrong with Hartford? Little girl in the news today. There's no place to be safe around her on Garden Street. Do you know how many shootings there are? She's a little girl, little kids. They're relying upon identities of law that are non-existent as positive, as truth, as facts. That's why the national news is being used as a weapon against presidents, forcing them to conformity with criminally foreign influenced states and areas, into branch, forging names, switching names, criminal uses of statutes, sequence shifts, identity thefts, only allowing people. So they're not letting. They're also recorded. You know, they're recorded, not letting people have. You know, want to relax in life. You want to be able to talk with like a normal person, like with the theater that you see on the media. But they're forcing that only for fake people. And that's with offensive evidence perception crimes. Because what happens now when they force sustained lying about me? When I refer to specific crime acts and they say it's allegations, forcing an overall conversation, then they start knocking me in the background. The media, I say, fix your fake news crime acts, because that's what it is. Why should I have to conform my sensibilities when I was first said it nicely many times? Plus, it's your obligation by mandated law not to steal identities, make up things with child sex offenders, and with overt criminal enterprises, even sexual groups, interbranch used as weapons. They're also, Ray Clo has a I don't know his name, a guy that said he was his roommate, and was said he was by other was his roommate, associated with the building downtown, associated with Rick Sean Fayon and interbranch families that spread lies about me now with the fake news, because they did so when they were kids, criminally involved with what with inside that deposition with former director of the FBI, criminally involved with this intercity, leading up to the 2006 district court case. Before that, leading up to that case, criminal rules. That came about after it was proven that there was a post-dated document shown to the panel of judges in the Trade Center attack context. That was tied to worse, because they have lie progression cover-up needs where no one's watching them, with natures of crimes, federal, that are verbal. that are sequence shifts, that are wire crime methods, that are even using the Wethersfield Police Department to force sexual abuses of little girls because they need each age of correlation nature hurt because we have interbranch recorded criminally foreign influenced, just like the overt criminal enterprises, all private tied to them. That's why they have the Los Salitos with the Fox CT. That's why they have them crimes with undercover, pretending that they have legitimate minds. They also have pretending they understand logic as means for evidence crime acts that force the child sex offender not told on. Also recorded with physical delusions with Wethersfield police in their minds. See this Poison guy? We'll examine the physical delusions, criminal nature of him, and roles with the sex crime acts. Wethersfield police message and posted before that, and the New Britain Superior Court message and posted before that. Also, crime acts roles with the houses in my area, foreign and domestic, involved criminally and military, and with name games, and with, in other words, as offensive evidence reception crime methods roles over here and in courts. Names forging and switching. Because they don't want anyone to have a name to be able to counter where and how they have various natures of judges of the same court and of various natures of courts criminally involved together and their family members and they all associated with the court already through time recorded criminally foreign influence, having acted, needed to hide finite body of value and progressive lies together, need to hide identity thefts together, need to hide sequence shifts together, not by accident facilitated to it with an O'Brien family associated with crimes for with this area, also with the houses involved, further with the child sex offenders as one's already proven, and associated with the campuses, associated with Middletown criminally. This Bob Chase associated with state police involved for further criminally with it, with the fake news crime acts clicks, with this Christine Bedard, with the Mayanos. With, they're stacking names of all these people I had nothing to do with, and the exceptions are criminal, like the Christine Bedard / Stardet associated with the Britain Superior Court crimes outside the court and in it. And when she was a kid, she was put in a class with me criminally, as their crime rolls with databases recorded identity thefts through time with a Mayano family, also recorded and confessed crimes intercity with the on-off campuses policing and stuff like that. So the Mendez demonstrated, recorded that the quotas per them, because I can't get a response. He's got the Dakota picture on his page, and he's one of the people associated with the briefing of the media per their roles with how to count, to how to react, how to tell stories when we have all these four shared identities, people that need to lie per pretended right to lie, but they're not doing it for the right to lie. They're doing it through criminal foreign influence that came up as the victim predators, making that only originally still. So we put color specifically to keep everyone defending fact cheaping nature counters to what is sustained on all needed. So these are sensibilities counters that are needed to keep each age of fact cheaping nature incapable of correlation nature, but pretending to be about positive as criminal insidiousness nature, valuing that, pretend it's legal legitimately, pretending these are means that we could only afford through a free system pretended. So we'll examine how they have people stacking when they have rivers right there. We could have thing unbelievable. You have to be able to admit the sick market systems, valuing each system tactically ulterior from the one that reality's identity is, can afford what we need to heal. So we need mandated course and law followed. They have no rights to do that. They have CNN, Fox News is recorded and confessed criminal uses of Mueller and of Comey. to hide their sequence shifts, crime acts roles with the Trade Center of tax contacts, with fake news, with interstate actors from Wethersfield into branch crime acts and their state offices, in their state judicial branch offices, all bunch of natures of sex crime acts roles. Then they start violence too, because then they make you scared. You say something stupid, then they want to have they want to have punk conversations like they have legitimate, like they have the integrity to. In other words, follow the sequence, follow the fix the fake news crime acts of the CT media and of CCSU fake crime acts, because they're from off campuses affected too. How they're using this to hurt each age of boys and girls from off campuses, maintaining this all rules, then valuing off the record precedents, you know, things not realized, exploited. Anointed eye, black pupils peer. That means appear. So we're going to be a black rights group. We're going to be for reparations, because I want to teach you something about space, about means. We have more than enough space. You little boxes, pathology that was forced since before our founders' births, before cars, playing it out, glorify it. Why is it valued more and more? Negative value nature progression, identity of negative value nature progression. Each modern nation is in fake sides of correlation nature, physical delusions maintained. Religions are about criminally foreign influence sciences. People are praying for truth and for facts with no lies attached to it. These are identity theft rackets. They're looking for truths and they're attaching lies to it. And they're doing that because they were facilitated to it. They were facilitated to it by a crime method on off campuses, keeping our branches kids criminally foreign influence tools by them. Keeping that the same thing, all the people involved with the offensive evidence reception crimes also juxtaposed overt criminal enterprises influence too. The fake sides. These are intersciences database fact cheating nature, fake politics sides. Like then they value that in relationship to their treatments already with precedents and stuff in relationship to like counters to war. Legal nature with wars and armies and stuff like that. Criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought, victim predators of criminally foreign influence campus Marseilles. We need the name. Legion, we need the name return. Legion. It's only value when as tribes. All real lies. The campus lies, stole our name. So we need mandated law right now. Man. We have sick Justice Department jobs, fakes of identities of law, conviction nature. Well, you know what else do they do? There's a guy, I don't, but we'll examine that. I want to go try to find. I'm sitting here waiting. So these are also social security crimes, other natures like what is it, Medicare crimes, all natures of medical crimes associated with a Yagman family and with houses next to the schools criminally involved with a Leahy family. Federal crime acts. Trade Center crime acts roles with the investigators, also as crime acts roles with Sandy Hook prison and database clicks like fire departments criminally involved with sex offenders, crime acts and uses of the policing of the campuses. This is inseparable from their crime as crime acts roles with the Lanza family, also recorded and confessed other ways criminally involved with occurred tomorrow and houses next to them, and next to and dentists, houses next to dentists criminally involved with identity thefts, people speaking through others, sequence shifts, crime acts with people that go to other schools, facilitated collusion with the interbranch, criminally involved with timing illusions to groups lied to, maintained fake sides of fact, treatment, nature, value, styles, fact, treatment, nature, in fact, fake sides of the identity of correlation nature, which is the identity of Trinity, which is not three different. It's not. It's about what Jesus Christ, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost is about. What's filling it, which is an identity, a semi-nature of itself, a little bit more of itself, but its complete nature of relationship to itself. But see, it's simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means which the Santa Claus, when Wade redeems. See, also we're involved with not just identity thefts, property thefts, extortion, health crimes. They're forging names, switching names, taxing people to fake conversations with others, fake relationships to others, with child sex offenders, with miscreant, a whole bunch of doctors of psychology with Hartford Hospital, with police with them, with crimes on and off campuses. There's a Detective Samuda recorded and confessed federal crimes with child sex offenders with federal crime acts roles with CCSU. Pretended he arrested me. Switched names with a McDonald's guy and or another guy that was there. And this is also a guy involved with Heather Hansen and with Elena Davenport, confessed, recorded, and demonstrated they had been sexually abused by the same people associated with uses of them for the sexual abuses of other kids, other people's kids. You know, and for identity thefts, for evidence crimes. These are rackets interstate criminal justice associated with, all that's private, like policing, influences over communications of isolated spots, everyone, including football players. Isolation in the sense that they know who's going to be talking to what, and they know what they facilitated. UConn is used criminally through time originally still. It's not personal. This is from off campuses. This is per other nations sickly too. Sickly distinctly to keep out sickly non-distinctly. Each nature of campus, each age of it is used criminally. How to keep legal natures incapable of countering what originally still juxtaposed natures of crimes to keep lawyers used criminally with color originally and still. Physical delusions. Defenses of their roles with types of law, not by accident, in a context where a whole bunch of natures of crime acts were consciously, methodically juxtaposed, bonded, and others to roles in that, valuing that, what bonded it, and how to get away with it. Tactically ulterior than value nature's actual progressive value nature system perfect. What's alpha and omega? Delusion, physical delusions. So then you can't talk nice to people too, because then they play games. Where the hell does everyone go now too? You have to be involved with nuclear science and all these fake cops internation together here to to not get arrested when you go out. Not have people fix the fake news. Foxy did. What are you doing with the CCSU crime acts? Also, criminal uses of national media, election crimes, lying about the substance of facts and of truth, offensively, sickly against our presidents. That's who is CNN to criminally control the news like that? Pretend that's their right. You have no right to hide crime acts, fake sciences. Give the names of these people too, from switching. Their crime acts roles with switching names, forging names, sequence shifting. Don't take it personal. Fix it. Fix it. Or get out too. Get these people out of the branches. We don't need elections for this. We need free speech. Give my free speech identity back and get them to pick one name, one sequence, and then get out. And get the campus before, do it right now too. Give me a response, because they have a crime method with these officers who pretended they arrested me, like this detective Samuda recorded and confessed, pretended I was in a hospital he was in. He brought me to it, recorded and confessed criminally. This detective Samuda recorded and confessed sex crime acts roles with the girls, with the Heather Hansen, Elena Davenport, DeMoro's brothers, cousins, intercity police, Kerr family, crimes with the people I don't even know the name of, men and women with Trinity College, criminally involved with federal crime acts, predicate acts, other natures of crime acts, illusions. Even an officer saying his name is Darth Vader. You drop the force. You drop the force. Pick one name in sequence and fall. This is the only thing that surges through all things alone. Vaccines, be known. Also, Alicia's with New York City recorded and confessed involved with New York City police. Police forms involved with the retired and standing interstate fire police families with badges, involved with the child sex offenders family members, further involved with the interbranch, various natures of courts, judges and their family members criminally involved, identity thefts, spreading lies, crime roles with affecting confessions about sexual circles. In the only context you know people, then later when that's confessed, demonstrated, and recorded tied to sex offenders, you can't talk about it because no one will follow the rules. They painted themselves into corners. Also, Kinsella schools recorded and confessed with interbranch police and this and such, with further child and adult woman sex offenders uncharged, recorded with the police forms on and off Kinsella School, WTNH, then recorded and confessed crimes with Delaferra family and with the Schedule family, with Dillons and people in that area, with Maria Fazzino, her husband, and other boyfriends of hers, recorded and confessed intercity criminally involved with CCSU through time. So they have the Dakota place in a Mexican restaurant, recorded and confessed involved with two Mendez police brothers, interbranch, forging names, switching names, after other police did that already too. Forging names, switching names, McGee, with varying natures of crimes, confessing recorded sexual and other natures of abuses and harassment of my mother and of little kids of each age of girls, even sexual harassments of me online. Then if you call them a faggot or something like that, they take you off Facebook and they let their little faggots do that. You see what I'm saying? First, sequence shifting. I did because they need identity thefts. So you need passion crimes to pretend things from the past that they can't pretend otherwise. Anthony Yagman was in an algebra class I had with Congressman Larson's family member. They repeated that. A Domain brother recorded confessed. Mike Devane recorded confessed. His brother demonstrated. His brother Adam Domain and his family is criminally involved with the John Mayano and with a Rob Schedule identity thefts. People I don't know at all. Never had a conversation with at all. Not one word with Rob Schedule. His sister tried to pretend other by walking up to me too. And in New Britain, in the Middletown club on the water there, associated with the Justice Department, doctors, foreign and domestic, and prisons cliques and stuff like that, interstate, criminally involved with medical corruption and overt criminal enterprises, drugs, crimes, identity theft, crime acts, clicks, and uses of a Phil Colello recorded and confessed to involved with crime, rules crimes, and perjury crimes with a Bob Chase people tied to him in the Britain Superior Court, and or physical delusions with this guy too, bad nature and criminal insidiousness nature recorded and tied to mail crimes and wire crimes, and the whole methods recorded, mail crime methods, wire crime methods, offensive evidence reception crime methods roles also recorded and confessed tied to domestic disturbances. They say it's the most dangerous thing because they're hiding crime roles with that. Influence top down per what former director Robert Luskin was involved with CNN sequence shifts, physical delusions, pretending that Mueller and that Comey have credibility when they know they don't, because these are crime acts roles with Russians first, with election crimes first. WFSB is recorded and confessed with all natures of crime acts, even with men and women against kids, with child sex offenders and drugs with kids through time, with a Fianza family, also with next to the state judicial branch offices, and then also criminally with the houses on Two Rod Highway, associated with a Victorian house, also recorded and confessed involved with the Phil Colello and with other extended family members, of the house in my area, recorded and confessed criminally involved, like a Phil Colello and a Scalora family, also recorded and confessed various natures of federal crimes roles of Wethersfield police. They're forging and switching names though. See, the switching names is also being done by the judges, female judges, those crime acts, illusions, and worse, with child sex offenders, usually had to force the principal sex offender not told on, with other sex crime acts and uses of the kids. Because we have interbranch people with their kids sick, and we have them forging and switching names because so they can hide it. That's also recorded and confessed them with personal drug crimes and with formal drug crimes roles with the Leahy family, with all kinds of natures of crimes, including the sexual crime acts roles, abuses of young boys and girls, through them spreading lies about criminal enterprises too, with this Joshua Julian online using the Facebook page of the grammar school, with the principal sex offender was still being forced with the rest of them originally still with that campus and with other ones. There are men and women also recorded and confessed crimes with houses next to, and with another school, a private school next to, and with the middle school further. Also, further criminal uses of the dean of the whatever, all the roles with the students. See, now they need to pretend the other because they painted themselves into federal crimes with databases. This is originally still a database tied identity of grounds relationship to identity of body of value discernment and progressive value discernment crime method. Where and as and how, that's the value of each age of fact treatment nature, referring to it as correlation nature, as the identity of correlation nature, which is a trinity per science. Now, it reveals this but we don't have mandated law followed. So all that is recorded that we can know is being prevented from being known. So we have physical delusions about what is recorded. You can research what is right. Oh, the George Washington owned slaves. Forget George Washington. They don't know George Washington was a slave. He wanted us to. He left us to demonstrate to free ourselves. They didn't. We're free. Oh, they put a Declaration of Independence. The surface is free. The surface of the Constitution, free speech, says get that. See, they have fake positive natures, theater positive. And then they smile. This is how like sex offenders. You ask nice, but because They can't. In other words, we have evil not countered, and that was already originally instilled with precedents that are influenced by criminal uses of statutes, like CNN pretending that it's too expensive to counter certain natures of crime acts, like sex crime acts. That's criminal. Pretended use proper use of the statute, pretended integrity to their interbranch sources, pretended they don't realize criminally being directed to speak through others and to steal identities and not fix those fake news crime acts. So they could keep only people who are going to speak through others criminally, insidiously pretending other, as Styles pretending other, as election crime roles, as people only capable of countering what hurts them formally and other inclusion by blaming it on the wrong things and others and on self, and by valuing that, having been and doing that. So let's go, because we have the Saudi women that they're still sexually abusing, and I don't have to, I need to find someone, and I'm not the only one that needs to find a wife and stuff like that, because they wrecked my relationship because they used her for our military and our Weathersfield police criminally involved with a Scalora family, intercity, and with offensive evidence reception tricks and crime acts already through time. Criminal uses of my family. These are people with crime acts roles further recorded with the Trade Center attack context, leading up to it and since. These are people who are extended family members of the and or tied to them with the same last name, tied to the Colello family with the further Bob Chase confessed and recorded sex crime acts roles per his physical delusions, and not letting me read a police report and telling me that Phil Colello was on it, who's an identity theft crime acts, other natures of crime acts rolls through time, drugs crimes rolls with the sex offenders cliques in my area, criminally involved with the police forms, and with the overt criminal enterprises associated with the witness protection program, and with the various Los Solitos. That's where they were associated with Fox CT crimes too. And then they have to hide that by preventing their identity theft crime acts fake both sides of stories. It's important to understand how WFSB, with their various natures of federal crime acts, note attaching me to fake relationship to doctors as a kid, faked, recorded faked mental diagnosis, forging names, switching names, with the same drug clicks involved with federal crime acts in the databases of Trinity recorded, preserved, and on from off campuses affected as crime acts roles with actors inside the deposition leading up to the 2006 case with defendant, former director of the FBI, and with his federal criminal co-defendants. They were pretending they didn't realize things had been proven in court. In other words, that's also tied to Joshua Julian. Pretend it was who was spreading lies about my family with overt criminal enterprises, with the child sex offenders at the grammar school level. That's also recorded and confessed with a Gold family, with federal crimes with the Iowa family through time, and with WFSB and with other media, with their ad companies used for crimes. Also, Facebook and YouTube, um, fake pages pretending to be me, pretending to be my family members, pretending to be me with a passion crime against my wife, so they could hide how they used her criminally for without her realizing, understanding. Because with Saudi confessed and recorded, tied by interbranch child defenders intercity through time, associated with the West Farms Mall criminally, and with Walter's family, and with others associated criminally with Washington D.C. and with the Scalora family, criminally with that spot too, with the DeMoro family. Claudia Scalora and ties to a DeMoro, a Joe DeMoro's. Both Joe DeMoro's recorded confessed federal crime rules with the Scalora family and with the ones in my area with the crimes with the kids. These are also recorded confessed crimes with CIA. And these are people that attach me to fake conversations. Also, it was they have sequence shifts tied to the ILO family criminally involved with advertising and ongoing sexual harassment and identity theft crime acts with interbranch families and with military, foreign, and domestic associated with Joe Ayala and his crimes with the police forms and the interbranch federal crime acts from off campuses on off campuses affected in relationship to crimes with the 2006 case and with the lawyer criminally involved. See, these are criminal uses of lawyers originally and still that were part of the obligations our CIA and FBI had. For example, with our branches that they've forsaken because they're victim predators, tactically criminally pseudo-educated, physical delusions wrought, and criminal foreign influences wrought for a method originally instilled. So we could afford to heal everything instantly. We have to be able to admit it. Then you could also admit way better than sanctions, even if you can't. In other words, you could admit a path that if it's not followed, which is a forced evolution, identity of the ground relationship to itself, where water is, where understanding we're from a tactically denatured relationship to nature since before our founding modern nations, and playing value nature system that is other than the one that will heal that, which if it's not, it's built to stay all roles, valuing line progressions, valuing standing needs to keep fake sides, fake middles, offensively pretended cared about, like truth and facts, where they're recorded. CNN and Fox News nationally, if you don't do it now, because I'm still waiting to recorded still further interbranch judges, sex crime acts roles, methods roles on the campus still. See, they're forging names and switching names, and they stack fake police reports and threats for me not to call to report it by switching officers' names and stuff like that so they can just keep adapting in the background. This is extortion too, because if I ignore this, I can't. We have to be able to hurry up too, because they're doing with experts on kids medical. They're furthering sex crime acts rules on and off campuses coordinated. They're teaching each age of fact cheating nature, criminally foreign influence. A Sal Civiello, the rest of them on 2 Route Highway, associated with the Dillon family, recorded confessed involved with criminal uses of them since they were kids. For Eric Jensen also recorded and confessed involved with crimes with the train center attack, further recorded and confessed criminally involved. Actors interstate. See how they were interstate just to that timing, to that spot, without so insidiously orchestrated, recorded, orchestrated. People that were through time not directly connected, but some ways directly connected, but maintained manifest crime tools and associated criminally with on-off campuses, whatever they have going with the Dakota and Rocky Hill and food bag, and these Mendez police brothers, and the Mendez at CCSU, by the girls recorded and confessed involved, and by the drug clicks confessed involved with nurses and stuff, with their family members with medical involved with child sex offenders. Further, also the policing of Stop and Shops, the managers of Stop and Shops involved with foreign and domestic shared policing sick, used to keep them facilitated to need to hide lie progressions, personally grouped and misprision maintained criminal foreign influence states and areas. Two mobile gas stations in Wethersfield on the South State Highway recorded and confessed criminal use through time. Also, per the clicks, criminally involved with Middletown Harbor Park through time, through different club ownerships. They should have told them that too when they sold that to them. What was involved with their criminal uses of the Phil Collo and of the Schedule family, with the military corruption, identity theft, crime acts, roles with child offenders, with sexual circles. That's one of the ones who's also involved with a Chris White, who had a girlfriend at the same time, who made confessions to me about that. And they're involved with the Delaferros, criminally involved with WTNH, WFSB, double Fox CT, with crimes every time there's a shooting. Every time there's a child sex offender caught, they're hiding the ones their crime acts roles with such, with doctors, with the Leahy family, identity theft crime clicks, with a Dr. Dewberry, a Dr. Dingleberry, associated crimes with a, a Yagman family, and with houses next to the high school, next to the middle school, further private school tied, criminally involved. Further, with Washington connected to the area of criminal involvements through time. Sick with kids, all kinds of nature, each age of fact sheeting nature, because they know that each boy wants to meet a girl, and each girl wants to meet a guy, and but they're keeping the sensibilities of the girls, using the overt criminal enterprises and using the branches criminally foreign influence predators, keeping them sensibilities speaking through others, per what the overt interbranch demonstrate per crime method through time, where they're making confessions out of time. Because then that's a way of having demonstrated to people what they're not permitted, a quality of fact, human nature, to demonstrate back to counter. So then people are forced, conformed to valuing defenses of fact, human nature, even of swearing, where swearing is more with more integrity than our courts. For example, we have to have another nature of statutes. The same reason we have Latin statutes, we need another nature of statute. Like if you habeas corpus, if you like, whatever, if you need to be able to do petition from jail because you were put there illegally or criminally. See, but they won't let have pens. They have a O'Brien family and medical families recorded and confessed, using that to hide lie progressions tied to their crime, sex crime acts rolls online and intercampuses recorded, and on and off campuses recorded. This is also exploiting how Pakistani and Russians have military weapons, and that has something to do with their shared policing of the area used for sex crime acts roles, with the same interbranch criminally involved with the mobile gas stations through time, town line road through time criminally, stop and shops, and the Dakotas with the Mendez name used criminally, and then for identity theft crime acts. I never had a conversation with them in my life. Never was in a location with them off campus in my life. These are also people recorded and confessed criminally involved with the Phil Cololo and with the Scalora family associated with the Cololo family in my area, criminally involved with the two police chiefs 1 years ago, with the house that house was, and his reporting that was his girlfriend, even her dog criminally involved. So then they have the sensibilities of other houses like associated with drug cliques in the area, associated with that, with people my age that I never saw on my campus. Growing up, I never had anything to do with them. The exceptions in grammar school with some of them, and with the ones that weren't, those people pretending other now because they were influenced. They're being influenced to it because we have judges needing to hide lipoaggressions. We have the state judicial branch offices in town tied to the crimes with the houses in my area as victims, but as victim predators specifically because they need to start fights with areas. They're keeping women pretending they have sensibilities that are, in other words, when someone tries to needs to report sex crime acts and roles, these are also tied to how the confessions are coming out of sequence with the O'Brien family, because their natures of crime is juxtaposed. So you have to be able to demonstrate how recorded we have various natures of crimes bonded, and then valuing needing to be caught and needing to have people caught for sex crimes in order to be framed for things like harassment, for calling people back. Like I try, if they get caught, if they know they're going to get caught because one of their sex offenders is going to get caught, they make the person call back and make confessions and stuff like that. And then you have to call back again, like they leave a message or whatever. Then they pretend that you kept calling on your own. They leave out those confessions. They lie about the substance of the conversations. They leave out the recorded sex crime acts of the police that were investigating it before, even online recorded. We have online policing using the sensibilities even of the like, oh, this is a hate word, but they do it unequally, and they do it for passion crimes to pretend delusions because they're needing to hide from reality. I'm saying fix the fake news crime acts. They need to be able to have no answer and forging names, switching names. So there's no mean to sue them. That's why we need the state's attorney's offices taking federal stewardship off too. They're lying to state's attorneys because they have attorneys forging names, switching names, federal crime acts roles with sex offenders, forcing that being used to force it for other natures of crime acts roles. Those are also crime acts roles in other cases before that. And as crime acts roles with those police forms on off CCSU and on off other ages of campuses through time. There are police forms associated with a Tabucky Jones in the Britain high school, other ages of campuses in the Britain, criminally foreign influence, involved with drug crimes, identity theft crimes, with the crime method having everyone speak through others, and having, we have no integrity to our police departments. They know that. We have no integrity to the news. They know that. They know that. But they throw up a statute that says, oh, it's too expensive to do other. And they say, oh, that's a perfect world. Forget the perfect world. Look at all this bad stuff, and they try to pretend their sensibilities are ours, which theirs are needs to keep what is really science from demonstrating how to instantly make evolution, which is recorded. We have a tactically denatured relationship to nature, and that is the value of ourselves progressively, a gaining nature of value. So they also recorded interbranch leaders using pretended care for gay rights as means to further the overt child sex offenders, and as identity theft, and as means to slander. We have women with the interbranch drug cliques that are also with doctors, like this Leahy family, that are cliques also with the Lombardo family. They put fake things, fake conversations with men into databases. Pretended I yelled at women that I never yelled at. They forging names, switching names roles. Various natures of drugs, crimes, formal and informal drugs. Crime roles with the same house in my area, with the foreign and domestic fam. I mean, with the with the crimes with the police chief's foreign and domestic families, daughter, with the school of the principal sex offender, the former principal's daughter, her former boyfriend criminally involved, with other campuses criminally involved, like Quinnipiac, criminal uses of it from off campuses, but on off campuses criminal involvement state. That's also with criminal uses of evidence reception rackets, originally and still, like with the election crime roles of uses of Quinnipiac and of what is it? Tolling or polling and stuff like that. Polling people for, you know, the natures of polling questions, the natures of everything. They're unequal, and they're pretending to be about equality because they're not for mandated identity of correlation nature Trinity. They're for fake sides, fake middle with physical delusions. They're with criminal uses of logic, pretending you could do it with a little paper and find out what's logic. I mean, criminally pretending. You know, I could say, if I throw the ball up in the air, it's going to fall down, you know, if it doesn't hit anything. That's logic because there's gravity. So, in other words, but you could, but if I didn't left out saying there's nothing, if I throw the ground up in the air, but there's nothing, it's not going to fall back on the ground. To these exceptions, they're exploiting exception nature originally and still. Our history is not allowed told because we have a criminally foreign influenced American history. We have the identity thefts of our founders, maintained through a method that is maintaining identities of job, only let progress if they're indifferent to misprision, criminality, and exploitations of that, and then that value, because no one sees it coming. No one sees it coming. I don't know this Chris White and the White family, but I know that they sought me out with others to demonstrate, confess, and record that they're involved with crimes with Fox Connecticut News and with their police and with their fake news crime acts and with the parking garage at Fox Connecticut and with the wherever they're tied with the Russians, with the fire departments, with the sex crime acts roles, wire crime acts roles, identity theft crime acts roles, predicate acts crime acts roles, because these male crimes are also trade center themed crimes. Fake conversations the Leahy family had with me about the Trade Center and with the New Britain Superior Court sex crime acts clicks, even using their Facebook, sequence shifting. Let's go. Fix the fake news and don't pretend it's personal. Just fix it. Don't stay in collusion with states and areas, national news. Don't stay in collusion as a weapon of all that sick, recorded, criminally foreign influence with and as the value of Mueller treatments by the news. And with now their crimes with the Russians with this. First, through elections, you hid that. You hid your crimes with Russians, with Connecticut interbranch actors, sex crime acts, roles, consciously recorded. But then they went into that Congress nonsense criminally. We need federal stewardships of Connecticut states and areas. Make an example of Connecticut though. CT is cherry tree, not oak nor peach. Fake branches fall. George Washington didn't chop down the fake branches. He only semi-did. He only chopped down the fake branches enough to be a fake country with the rest of the identity of negative value nature progression nations. And they're consciously not letting anybody, guys, we don't want to have to talk about gay people. We don't want to have to, a guy feels just like a woman does if a gay person's won't leave them alone. I won't leave, you know what I'm saying? And then if you counter that, the courts are sick, they'll punish you. Not because they care about rights. They don't give a, these are evil people, the original, and still, as victims, but as victim predators. There was never any integrity to their interbranch originally, and still, they were forging names, switching names. The crimes with child offenders because they need to hide life aggressions. They need to hide their roles with sensibilities and capable of defending pretended integrity and speaking at the same time. So they have to keep others prevented from being able to speak for their roles with identity thefts. With two Mendez brothers also recorded and confessed lying to the parents after they lied to pretended to know their family members through time. Crime acts against their family members in cases behind the scenes because we have offensive evidence reception trick predators. That's why they're even influencing online people to pretend they had conversations with me about the CIA. And they're sequence shifting if they say they were copying what I said because I didn't respond until they had them all measured out saying that stuff as means to pretend that they were in conversations with me or even in location with me. I wasn't even in locations with these people. I mean, these are people involved with facilitated to crimes with military, foreign, and domestic, and with interbranch and overt criminal enterprises with the area, and foreign policing shared too. Overt criminal enterprises mixed, crimes with psychology, with Asian families. They're going to make problems making me seek you guys out from the forging names, switching names, sex crime acts. You see, then I had to say, someone goes, "What do you think about gay people?" I said, I'm thinking little rap guys and friends. You know, we love everyone. I shouldn't have said the word love. I should say we care about everyone. It makes it sound like I'm trying to, and that's important because there's a girl, like, I'm trying to meet a girl at my colleges, but they're behind the back influencing people, spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises with the same clicks facilitated to crime rolls with databases, illusion stacking when they were in middle school class, when they weren't even in my classes, pretending other with people from other schools next to my schools that were facilitated crime rolls with that, as the ones recorded, confessed, demonstrably further than they even realized, criminally involved with Washington D.C. and the Trade Center attack, and the Trade Center, and with the mobile gas stations at the corner of on the Saustine Highway. Also, a Demorrow's Market on the Saustine Highway, and markets in Hartford, where there's no hardly any markets, even though there's all those people stacked on each other. You morons! You think science spoke for Hartford? See, right down the street from the Mark Twain House, Harriet Beecher Stowe House, the lawyer Robert Chevery, who was the lawyer of Robert Luskin, and then one of the cases criminally involved with them in a 2006 district court case. See, they were with crime acts with Covington Street, with on-off CCSU before that, and with criminal uses of Hartford courts through time with that, and their family members. That's also why the Delaferro family was influenced with the WTNH to crimes with on-off Weathersfield High School with a Delaferro girl I never met. But that name is recorded, confessed, criminally involved with WTNH, with child sex offenders, drug clicks, with men and women judges, interbranch, criminally involved. And on off the principal sex offender campus with the same group. And that's with the two Mendez brothers. There's the main family, and there's a Mike Roberts, who I also barely know, recorded, confessed, influenced the crimes to crime rolls with investigators when he was a kid, associated with the Dakota place in Rocky Hill and the Mexican restaurant associated with the Rob Rodrigue, and the male and females intercity with identity theft, crime acts, drug crimes rolls with families of members, foreign and domestic inclusion. These are also the identity theft clicks, sequence shift uses because they were associated with crimes when they were kids, with evidence reception narratives
There were made up locations of people, made up ties between people that per their roles with overt criminal enterprises in the area, and with unrealized ones originally still recorded but still uncharted. And how? See, we can't counter organized crime that is attaching lies to truths and attaching lies to facts and criminally exploiting exception natures, demonstrations, and criminal uses of demonstration, completely fact checking nature rackets and crime methods using exception nature as what you can't even tell our American history by pretending to be about facts and truth when you know you're not. CNN and Fox CT, Fox News National. Those are the ones I see on the television. Fix the fake news crime acts. Don't stay in collusion with states and areas. These are election crime acts roles of other nature's election crime. There's no one free election yet. And you guys are keeping knaves only let run. Each election is recorded criminally foreign influence because you guys are identity theft rackets roles. You guys are child defenders on off campuses, keeping live progressions with the DMV families, DOT families associated with that Middletown Harbor Park. See that where they have clubs areas. They know people are going to interact. They know they might have to hide live progressions, so they have those positions standing criminally foreign influenced, standing misprision, grouped, and individually criminally foreign influenced. There's a girl who looked like she's a relative of a Spotter family that's recorded and confessed involved crimes with FBI, recorded and connected to New Haven, Yale crimes, criminal uses of the Congress, pretending integrity with some people and calling allegations on others when they know they're not allegations. Per what women's roles, interbranch, forcing sex crime acts, forcing identity thefts, forcing people to be mean to others because they're you need to be able to not lie. Yell around kids because they don't understand. But they understand. The only reason they don't understand is because there's a quality of fact checking nature that is blaming other criminal enterprises and other people for what is really interbranch criminal enterprises, what is really private associated with that criminal enterprises. Psychology, delusions, wrought, and with also insidiously involved with the rest of the interbranch and former and standing principals and their family members criminally involved further with the child offenders. This is also per how maintained manifest now per their uses criminal of each age in relationship to tricks. But this is all measured out in relationship to the uses of the cove of methods of making trouble through whose influence the world. They're sustaining fake care, and that sustains. They're sustaining valuing that, and they're sustaining that with now the insidious. So I also too. I don't know what there was a Zach Comey. I also had nothing to do with him. He was confessed, demonstrated, and recorded by people tied to him. He was implied criminally involved. I had no with his family members, with the interbranch criminally involved. I don't know if that's true. I have nothing to do with him. I had nothing to do with Zach Comey. They had him sat at my table involved with confessions, demonstrations of his crime roles with Debbie Gold, and with the Justice Department, Washington Trade Center attack families criminally involved with the principal sex offenders campus further, many ways. So it's got sensibilities already invested, needing to pretend they are what they aren't. We have states and areas originally. It's not going to be easy when you have schools involved with child sex offenders. You know, they do. Because we have the courts criminally foreign influence. How they maintain that way is recorded. You have to be able to report things. Let's go. Vaccines. I'll tell you things. Fall. You have the obligation. See, they need to. These are behavior crimes too. They can't even mention our behavior as they do in the background, because then they would be caught for sequence shifts, for caught recorded sustaining through families criminal uses of sensibilities, for criminal uses of influenced interactions of branches criminally foreign influenced by roles with overt criminal enterprises, unrealized ones, and all that with evidence perception, life progression, nature needs with that, also facilitated with everyone else. Same natures. That's juxtaposed by a method keeping this. Each modern nation blaming other and others and themselves for the causes of it, which is stayed identity of negative value nature progression, acts and natures, acts like predicate acts recorded and involved, natures like criminal insidiousness natures recorded and involved, crime acts with body dumping spots with Billy Grasso tied to the military families and to the state judicial branch and to the two-route highway, and houses next to those places involved criminally with defiances, fake news crime acts, election crime acts, rules, men and women with crime acts rules with them with that, and with businesses next to Fox WFSB. They're fake news crime acts, criminal uses of ad companies. IO family recorded and confessed involved with sequence shifting crimes. There are proofs that the language in one of their ads, criminally involved, says that we use your language. There are proofs that that is to imply that they aren't criminally involved with the recorded, knowing they're criminally involved with the courts criminally involved, with the fake news crime acts criminally involved, with the Mayano family criminally involved, with the rest of the child sex offenders associated with them criminally with a Dillon family. And these are people that sought me out to demonstrate, confess, and record this stuff. No, after the Ray Claw had graduated, after the Rick Chanfone had graduated. I never had anything to do with Rick Chanfone the entire time he was in high school. And a lot of the other friends of Ray Claw and of his cousins that I never saw them in the presence of, they also I had nothing, I don't even know their names. They're pretending other. They need to because they were invested, it recorded how they were invested to crime roles with offensive evidence perception predators. And then that valued because then this is what staying investigations maintain manifest for. Because then they're questioning on that, and then they can't show how they were lied, or what they hid with that, how that affected their fact achievements. So they're being coached, they're being set up to value what they can only value by being coached by the branches, preventing the courts from being reported. In other words, we have to be able to report in sequence, not just the police, but they're recorded with crimes with the courts that are preventing free speech and stealing it, with misprising criminality, maintained how motivated too, because they were child victim predators of sex crime methods with the interactions of kids. So let's go. Fix the fake news and stop with the violence, and then stop preventing the counters to the violence. See, they do that too because they pretend it's legitimate to counter something with a gun. Like if they just shot a guy with a Chris White with that name anyway, and police department anyways criminally involved with crimes with that name and name switching and forging as crimes. So that guy's criminally involved with them with a shooting of an officer of a guy with a knife. No, a knife. You know, he probably wasn't even charging him. You know what I'm saying? But they're starting fights with people because when you don't now, if I started fighting with someone about like an argument, not fighting, if I started arguing with someone, now how they refer to as an argument too, with them, but instead of correlation. But if you start talking, people start fighting about debatable. They're recording, forcing that. See, the girls are going to have sensibilities where they're not going to want to get into awareness of the depths of their roles with overt criminal enterprises and with criminals interbranch. It's just they don't know how to counter it, and they don't understand it. But they understand that the extent that they understand it is not their fault. But what they don't understand is that by the time they realize that and need to realize that, it is their fault too, because they were already facilitated to making confessions to strangers per what they knew would be criminal uses of that. With AT&T, also with the Spada family, involved with the wire crimes with sex offenders, and with this Phil Cololo further involved with them, with doctors foreign and domestic with the child offenders. So I don't like to, also there's like 3 sisters there criminally involved, 3 or 4, and then they have a daughter apparently criminally involved. And this may be one who looked like one and acted like one criminally involved. I never had a conversation with her. She walked by me. He's using a one of those, I don't know what it is called, like one of those inhaler things where they're smoking pot or whatever, smoking whatever they have. That thing they do now. And she, I don't know, but it looks like a spotter because that's also associated with the wire crimes with the New Haven FBI and criminal uses of state's attorneys, forging, switching names and sequences, putting fake things into databases, allowing that to happen. See, this is how we have to deal with the federal criminals further recorded and confessed with the child offenders, crime acts, crime method roles with the defendants of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and people associated further criminally with that court, intercity since the Trade Center attack context, coming to me with confessions and with requests for help. But dishonest requests for help, so I didn't explain how I was going to help because they were dishonest. So in other words, there's a recorded path of federal crimes from the Trade Center attack context. Now, there was also a Detective Samuda recorded and confessed crimes with the male and female, white and black judges, with him pretending he was arresting officer and me, attaching me to fake locations with him. He's recorded and confessed involved with the male and female judges, preventing sex crime acts recorded from being demonstrated, criminal uses of the databases at CCSU, criminal uses of their media consultants and fake news crime acts roles that are criminally foreign influenced. Per them, recorded criminal and demonstrated and confessed criminal uses of Dakota and of a Mexican restaurant associated with the stranger, Robert Rodrigue, with the child sex offenders drug cliques, who confessed one of the untimely deaths. Also has one of the cliques with one untimely death on Trinity College, tied to all kinds of other natures of crimes and predicate acts, with a dean forging and switching names and other deans with that. Also a dean CCSU criminally involved with that. Sexual circles criminally involved with that. With prison cliques, and with their family members already used criminally on and off campuses for federal crime acts, offensive evidence perception crime act, tied to all kinds of crazy things in the news, tied to crimes with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, tied to crimes with people with the transition from ACA to RICO, Organized Crime Control Act, to the RICO Racketeering into Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. So we have to have counters to other FBI in the area and the Witness Protection Program and the overt criminal enterprises in collusion with identity thefts, criminal uses of on-off campuses locations, criminal uses like if you're on, they know that they were criminally using how if you're a leader like a labor steward of a job site, they have various natures of overt criminal enterprise juxtaposed with our branches, juxtaposed with our job sites, juxtaposed with our school. Fox CT has also recorded and confessed crimes with police forms associated with the Los Salitos. Actually, crimes again with principal sex offender campuses and houses next to them criminally involved through time with identity thefts. So we have the fake news crime acts. They need to be countered with the other fake sciences recorded all into criminally foreign influence and delusions wrought, not by accident. Allah. Trinity shares this identity. And the Quran takes care to note to Muslims what's being obfuscated the same way the Old Testament takes care to note to people who follow Jesus, of course, they're obfuscating, not even letting realized. You know, we have insidious takes on the surface of the Constitution so they can prevent it and pretend other. Is why, in other words, the Quran is telling, that's why it's about why unbelievers are supposed to be valued just as much as believers, as long as they're not criminal insidiousness natures, a fake positive. In other words, furthering the lie progressions of states and areas criminally foreign influenced. That's what's keeping the controversial parts of the Quran. Force needed counters, weaponized fact cheating nature counters, because they have no one has the integrity to hold on to these religions. This is why the Quran is noting that this is what that we're supposed to value. In other words, it's noting awareness. The Quran is demonstrating awareness of criminally foreign influenced sciences since before modern religions. In other words, so criminally foreign influenced human fact treatment nature, which is why prayer is so important, because it's a form of correlation. And in where the science of correlation was fit all only let realize roles valuing fake sides of correlation as physical delusions, improper crowd correlation, incompetent correlation nature as criminal insidiousness nature, as tools, as breaching screen, fake patriotism nature, breaching screen, fake freedom of business, breaching screen weapon, fake freedom, fake freed areas, with identity of relationship to the ground, identity of correlation, nature sabotage. It is the identity of the ground. On drums we pound. We're going to be trained to be native as the reparations movement, because only value that's native pure is really truth and fact. That's the identity of value that is filling is native pure. It's nothing, no system other. Long